Welcome to the June 10th meeting of the Rotary Club of Jamestown. Will you please all join me in the speaking of the national Pledge of Allegiance in the national anthem.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed, and the twilight's last gleam, its bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous sky. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly strewn, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And our invocation today is by Tori Irving, running from one end of the building to the other.
Hi, everyone. So I'm reading from a book that was given to me by our fellow Rotarian, Lillian May. It's called Pocket Full of Miracles. And so here first, every moment is a holy moment if we are present in it. Peace and stillness, love and wisdom, joy, energy, and creativity are the fruits of the present. Fear and negativity exist outside of the now and naturally disappear when we realize that now is the only moment that really exists. Each in our own belief, let us pray. Divine Beloved, thank you for the indescribable gift of life, of consciousness, of creativity. Thank you for sharing your mind with us. Please help us to appreciate life, to remember you, to serve others by increasing our motivation to learn the ancient practice of the present moment.
I can't, you're going to count the church, right?
Thank you so much, Tori. And now we may be seated and we will hear from our President-elect, Marion Beckering, with our visiting Rotarians and guests.
20.
All right, thank you. Right now we have not going to be a guest for long. Kylie O'Reilly from our Colorado club. Welcome, Kylie. Also would like to welcome from the Jackson Center, we have 4 special guests in addition to our speaker. 5, thank you. And hopefully they're on my little ticket here. So we'll start with Nick Farrelly. If you want to stand, Nick, so everyone knows where you are. He's a student here who will be studying at the Jackson Center for the next 10 weeks. And you are at what college, Nick?
I study in France.
Oh, okay, at university in France. Yes. Wonderful. Well, welcome. We also have with us Colin Young. Am I seeing Colin? Colin Way. Thank you. Welcome. And where are you at university? Welcome. Thank you for being here. We also have Maddie Russell, who is at Middlebury, that I do know, and we will welcome her as well. Thank you, Maddie. And last but not least, Jude Gottschall from Allegheny College. And I know Andrew is hiding. There you are, Andrew Jin. And Andrew, what college?
I also study at NYU.
At NYU, awesome, welcome. And then of course our old friend, and I say that figuratively, Kristan McMahon, Executive Director of the Robert H. Jackson Center. Welcome.
Good. Thank you very much and welcome all our guests. We're really pleased to have you here today. And now, I was gonna call on Chris Anderson for our first announcement.
Chris.
So today is a bit of a bittersweet day. We've had Joe Keen with us since last August, right, Joe Keen? So it's hard to believe his Rotary year is pretty close to being done. He is going on a West Coast trip, so he's going to get to see the Grand Canyon, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Yosemite. So he's going to be doing that over the next 2 weeks. He'll leave on Thursday, right? So this is his last meeting. So if you don't come any other events that we have between now and July 6th when we leave, you won't see him again. So, and this is just a little going away present from the club for you, Joaquin, and it's certainly been a pleasure having you here with us, and I've been proud to be your counselor.
Thank you guys, everyone from the club, for fighting each year, even the 50 tickets. Like week, but always the lady that sits over there, yeah. But yeah, thank you very much for my time here. I appreciate it.
All right, I've got a few messages. I'll bring it back down. At the vision committee meeting we had last week, I was asked to see if there was enough membership interest in doing a Rotary row of legacy seats as presented by Sarah Gilbert last week when we didn't have a microphone, so we weren't sure how many of you heard about it. So on your tables, this hasn't been approved by the board or RCJCSF yet, but there's a sign-up sheet there. Kathy is just passing it over. If you would be interested, if we decided to do this, a row of seats is 14 seats, and we're looking to see if we have 14 people that would pay $50, and then RCJCSF, the Community Service Fund, would pay $50, and the actual seat plaques would have Rotary Club of Jamestown and your name on them. So please let us know if that's something you would be interested in participating in. It's a challenge from the AM Club, and they pointed out, I think they have 22 members and they got 14 people. And so they're wondering, can we do 28 even? But anyhow, we're looking at doing 14 seats, the first 14 who sign up. So if you would make sure you see that list. Emily called me today and she was very sorry to have to miss again this meeting because she's really excited and enthused about the President's Dinner. It's almost here, coming up June 24th. She should have each received an email about it because the deadline for reservations and payment is this coming Friday. So please remember to get your money to Tony or go online today and make reservations for the President's Dinner that's going to be at the Harbor Hotel. So we're looking for lots of planning going on right now. That scared Joni off. The highway cleanup is scheduled for June 15th. You should all also have gotten an email from George Harper saying he's got 8 people, but he needs about 8 more, at least 6 more, to do the highway cleanup June 15th at 8:30. So please respond to that email. George is doing this all remotely, so we need you to respond to emails. I appreciate that. And that same day is a very busy day in that we will be having a display at the Juneteenth Festival on June 15th. And anyone who is interested or can help out volunteering for that should get in touch with Marion Beckering. So looking forward to that. I did want to also mention, and I know it's a way out, but I'm really excited about this. Marion reported to the DEI committee last week that Rotary is teaming up with the, Jamestown Young Professionals to have a social with them on September 23rd. So I'm really excited about this, that we can reach out to the young professionals who have a very similar mission, I think, and are interested in being mentored by this club. So that's really nice. Okay, and
I just want to let everybody know we're still looking for sponsorships and basket items. So if anybody can help out with that, you can contact me or Mary regarding basket items if you have anything you want to donate. I will say the field is a little bit more than half full now for players. So if you want to play and you haven't talked to anybody, get your forms in soon, otherwise might be left out. Thanks. Oh, Monday, July 15th. Thanks.
Madam Treasurer, do you have announcements? Anybody else have announcements? Okay.
There's a 50-50 sheet going around. I had a few postings. I hope that they're filled by now. There's no one that signed up today to help Ruth do a close up. Do I have any volunteers that are willing to stay and help her? Okay. And that. Okay, thank you very much.
This is just a reminder that we're still collecting baby books for the Chautauqua Center. So if you stop at Ollie's or Walmart or anywhere, you can pick up some really nice board books. Here's an example. David showed you more. They're like $1.99. So we'd like to get 50 to donate to the Chautauqua Center. Thank you.
What's the deadline on that, Marion?
There isn't a deadline, but we'd like to get this done by the end of this month. I think that would be respectable. Thank you.
Well, thanks to the Literacy Committee for your work on that. And so, any other announcements? Hearing none, I would give it up for Sergeant and our done. 50 first. I took my page too quickly. Is there people? Is there 50? Oh, here comes Rhonda. Okay. $39. That Kristan should use. Okay. Last four digits.
Last four are 3848.
3848. All right.
Okay, always a good winner. Well, it's been pretty quiet in the press, so there's not a lot of people to recognize today. However, I was thinking, and one person I want to is not here, Walt, so we'll have to catch up with Walt later. But I was thinking probably we should get our take before Tori gives everything away. Is there a special event this week, Tori, that you wish to publicize? Yeah, okay.
I get special. So Thursday, beginning at 12:01 a.m., if you are a late stayer-upper or an early riser, you can start and be the first gift in Give Big CHQ. There's over 130 organizations, I think, registered. And so you should check those out and go to their various pages, follow them on social media so you know what time you should be giving to unlock special challenges, and get a strategy, because that day goes fast and you, if you're like me, you want to give more than you really can afford to give, so you gotta be strategy, you gotta have strategy, so. But any dollars that are given between 7:16 a.m. and 7:16 p.m., there's a matching component from the Community Foundation, and we're really excited about it.
Yes. I mean,
Good essence of community support. Amy didn't get her picture in the paper, but she got her name in the paper quite a bit lately. A little discussion between a couple different United Way agencies.
Yes, sir. I see one thing.
If anyone is interested in learning more about the proposed merger between the United Way of Northern Chatham County and Southern, please visit our website. There's a list of frequently asked questions. If you have a question, I guarantee the answer is probably on the website.
And last, but never least, I understand there was some kind of golf tournament last week. Mike Roberts, might you be the grand winner of the Italian American?
What made it really special was on Saturday, I played with Ray Palladino, Sam's son, and his son-in-law who flew in from LA. And to beat 87 teams is something you just don't forget about very often. So 25 years between wins, it's not going to be 25 between the next one.
Okay, Madam President, I think you may want to do happy bucks.
Happy Bucks. Who has Happy Bucks?
I do.
All right. Just wanted to remind you that after you're done with Big Chautauqua, you can come over to BPU, 92 Steel Street, and buy hot dogs. To benefit our Sons for Safety campaign. Good. Oh, it's 10 to 2 on Thursday.
Deke and I, a little birdie told Deke and I that we should attend the awards dinner for JHS. Now, if you don't know, Jamestown High School gives away about $1 million in awards and scholarships every year. And it just so happens that sweet, cute little girl named Kate Kaplan got a $19,000 per year scholarship to RIT. Wow. Now, that's all great. And maybe she'll start to look at RIT now. It wasn't exactly on her list because she got it in humanities. And her area is psychology and neuroscience. So very exciting. Katie was very excited, and so were all of us, especially her parents.
That's what names, I'm sorry. So if you want to write on the back, we'll see who got names. Or see.
I have a happy buck for Dewey, who the Casadega Legion, what was auxiliary, donated 7 boxes of books, which Mike Roberts took and put in our storage at Allied Alarm. So thank you very much. Keep us in mind.
Well, I just want to say how happy I am to be here and donating my.
Any more happy bucks? Hey.
I'm grabbing the cash and running to the bank. But I also have to let you know, I know we're hitting you up with a lot of expenses, but your club membership is due by the 25th of this month. And I've already told you and sent emails and all sorts of stuff. So if you haven't gotten an email from me on May 1st or June 2nd, it's probably in your spam folder. Please give me a call or email me. so we can get you straightened out, so we don't lose anybody by the July 1st cutoff from Rotary International. Thanks.
And I'd like to put a special plea in, if you can possibly either send your dues in or let Joni or me know by the 21st, because on the 21st, we will be divvying up names of people we haven't heard from yet, to make sure they have board members give people calls, because like she says, July 1, people either need to be committed or off the books, because otherwise we have to $90 for each person, so. Yes, David? How many people haven't paid yet? About half, John?
Well, we have what, 89, 90 members?
Yeah,
And 30.
yeah, actually less than half, so please, please, it's,
Now, if you are a corporation, it's probably important to get that.
yeah, but we need to know, we need to follow up before July 1st and know people are either committed to pay or are not going to pay, because we don't want to send $90 off to people who are actually not. 32 people have paid. Does that include you, Joni? Thank you all very much. And now I'd like Becky Robbins to come up and introduce our speaker for today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure today to introduce Kristan McMahon, from the president of the Rotary Jackson Center since 2019. Guiding the organization through 2 construction projects, the pandemic, and now expansion of its team and programs. Previously, Kristan served as principal with Better Solutions. Let's listen. I hate that. Okay. So Kristan served as a principal with Bennett Solutions, an executive search firm specializing in association and nonprofit recruiting and consulting in Washington, D.C. Before that, she was corporate counsel in Verizon's antitrust practice group, where she advised all business entities on a variety of antitrust issues, including deal analysis and compliance with antitrust competition laws. Prior to Verizon, she served as a staff attorney for Howry LLP, where she was part of the antitrust team, leading government investigations and litigations for numerous global Fortune 500 companies. Kristan received a bachelor in journalism, mass communication, and political science from St. Bonaventure University, a JD from the Catholic University of America, Columbus School of Law, as well as a certificate from its Communications Law Institute, which I'd be interested in knowing. She is a trustee and chair of the Franciscan Mission Committee for St. Bonaventure, as secretary and governance chair on the board of Youth for Understanding, which is an international student exchange organization, which kind of goes along with what we do here. And is a board member of Sitar Arts Center, a youth arts education center in Washington. She's an avid traveler. She hopes to eventually spend time in every country. And she said she's gotten about 20% of that. And in her spare time, she reads mostly about justice, World War II, authoritarian regimes, and international humanitarian law these days, but she, like myself, who I haven't really admitted publicly, she really enjoys cozy mysteries. They're set in tea shops, coffee shops, bed and breakfasts, or bookshops. So, Kristan, thank you.
I don't have nearly as much time for fun reading anymore. I remember during the pandemic being on a Zoom with other leaders, not from this area, so they didn't know me, and I remember being very excited about the fact that I had just picked up a cozy mystery. And I said, well, this is the first book I've read in more than a year that's not about Nazis or death or concentration camps. And one of them leaned into the camera and said, "What do you do again?" So yes. Thank so very much for inviting me to speak to you today. I believe this is my first opportunity to actually talk about the Jackson Center with you all. I know I have talked about some of our programs and invited you to those in the past, but this is really my first opportunity to share some of the great work that we are doing. I appreciate Marion introducing our summer interns, and I really, not that they have much of a choice, but I really would like to thank Nick and Jude and Maddie and Andrew and Cokway for being with us today as well. I hope you get the chance to talk to them a little bit. They're all very interesting people. The internship at the Jackson Center typically runs from the first week of June until the middle of August. It's a 10-week internship, and we do pay our interns, which we're also really excited about. So as Becky said, I have been serving the Robert H. Jackson Center as its president since April of 2019. You may not know this, but this makes me the longest tenured leader of the Robert H. Jackson Center. And over the last 5 years, I like to think that we've made a significant impact on not only our local community, but also on our national and international communities. We more than survived COVID. COVID was really an opportunity for us to expand and change how we do our programming, how we reach audiences. We instituted some new virtual lines of programs. We, in our community, started working on a micro level as well. We joined a number of organizations like the IDEA Coalition to really help advance the work that this community is doing writ large. And I want to highlight some of what we have done. First, we took a pilot program called Battle of the Books, which was brought to us by Jeff Kresge because his son was interested in continuing on with what happened at the institution. So as you all know, I think the Chautauqua Institution offers a battle for fifth graders. And the students, when they got to sixth grade, thought, wait, I don't get to do this anymore. So they came to the Jackson Center to see if we would pilot this. And we started the first year with 3 or 4 teams. And now we are sold out every year. We have 12 teams that we can do within our space. It has expanded entirely the breadth of Chautauqua County. And Rotary has made it possible for many years for us to purchase the books for that. So I also really want to thank you and highlight that program's success for you all. We also not only completed our DRI renovation, which on my 3rd day in my role, I walked into the office and somebody handed me a hard hat and a shovel. And I said, what are we doing right now? And it was the ceremonial groundbreaking for our DRI reconstruction of our lobby, our elevator, which made the Jackson Center accessible for all. And so the elevator can actually take you to the 2nd floor of the mansion, which has not been accessible previously other than by stairs, which honestly really came in handy during the pandemic because for anyone who has been to the JDA room, it's a very easy place to social distance for depositions, for other meetings, and so that really increased the usability of the center. It also, about 2 years ago, we realized we had the space and the bandwidth to renovate the offices upstairs. You can see sort of those 3 small photos next to Jeff in terms of increasing the additional accessibility there, but also freeing up the entirety of our 1st floor for exhibits. And so all of the administrative offices are now on the 2nd floor. We're still working on what the exhibits are actually going to be, but at least the 1st floor is completely free for us to be able to tell Robert H. Jackson's story deeply and change it up in terms of what we're focusing on. Through the support of our donors, and I've showcased a number of our intern classes here, starting in 2019 on the far right. I do not have the 2020 class there because they were all virtual, so I unfortunately have no group photo of them. But we typically bring in 5 students each summer to the Jackson Center for an opportunity not only to learn about Jamestown and Jackson himself, But beginning in 2022, we also take the interns to Washington DC for a week, where they get the opportunity to learn from practitioners in the field. They meet and have met with US Ambassador at Large for Global Human Rights. They have met with the Executive Director of the US Supreme Court Historical Society. They have met with people who work in the Department of Justice, who run justice initiatives out of the United States Holocaust Memorial and Museum. We really try to tailor each summer's experiences to the interest of that summer's interns, and so I'm working on this summer's already. They also spend time with Robert H. Jackson's papers at the Library of Congress, and we do some fun things too. It's an opportunity for those perhaps who have never had the chance to try a particular cuisine from around the world. Washington DC pretty much has one of everything from any country you could think of, so we open that up to them. We also do something fun. So last year we went to an improv show. The year before that, we went and saw a musical. This was the first year we went to the improv show. Last year we went to a musical at the Kennedy Center. And so I leave that up to the interns as well, based on cultural offerings of the week. We are there to choose what would make them happy. And practice democracy in all of the things. And they also spend some time at the Library of Congress librarians, so not just in Jackson's papers themselves. This year, we're also going to start working on a project to begin digitizing the amount of information that's at the Library of Congress that relates to Robert H. Jackson. I'll get to that in a moment. We're also expanding in other ways that we serve this community, and for the last couple of years, the Jackson Center has served as an early voting site for the county of Chautauqua, and I am pleased to say that with the exception of the mall, we are the most utilized early voting site in the county. So I am thrilled at the number of people it brings in. I am both thrilled and sometimes saddened by the number of people who say, this is my first time in this building. And so we always invite them to come back. We invite them to come for a tour. And for those of you who have not been to the center in a while, please do come in for a tour. The center that you remember is not the center you will see. We've been doing a lot of work on ourselves. So coming out of what I like to call pandemic thrival mode, we started dreaming about our future again. And to facilitate this, we applied for and won a grant from the Western New York Foundation to give us both the foundation's support as well as their contacts with facilitators to lead an entire team effort between the board and the staff at the Robert H. Jackson Center to develop our strategic objectives, to break those down into goals, and to teach us and reinforce to us that rigorous practice that needs to exist in order to achieve these. So we still envision a world where the universal principles of equality, justice, and fairness prevail. And we assessed our mission and vision during this process as well, and tweaked those somewhat. So the mission of the Robert H. Jackson Center is to be a forum for education on and discussion of law and justice issues as guided by the life and work of Robert H. Jackson. This is a nonpartisan organization. I try my best to keep my own politics out of anything that we do there. Depending on what is happening in the world, depending on what is happening in the United States, the programming is going to reflect Jackson's ideals. And that may shift how some people view our programming given the context. But I also want to be very clear on that this is something we're very mindful of, is how true to Jackson are we being? And if we feel like we're straying, then we course correct. And our vision is to be the preeminent, enduring source of knowledge on the life and guiding principles of Robert H. Jackson. This gives me so much scope to work with. As I was explaining, so last week the interns went through Jackson School, and so read some of the biographies on Jackson. We started having conversations on questions that they have. We went to Frewsburg to walk the path from the Jackson home to the Jackson livery. We went to his grave at Maple Grove Cemetery. We walked around Jamestown, if you saw us with our umbrellas last week, to visit some of the Jackson sites in Jamestown. This is for me part of their orientation. Each week, we will discuss a particular Jackson case. And then we'll also take a look at current events happening in the world and how Jackson might have viewed that. That Jacksonian lens is what we're really trying to bring forth, how you can view today's current events through some guiding principles of Jackson, through his legacy. Because when we talk about this right now, we don't talk about him just in the past. The number of times each week that there is an article that mentions Robert H. Jackson today, honestly, anything coming out of the recent conviction of the former president in New York City, the number of pundits who quoted Robert H. Jackson's federal prosecutor speech, which he gave in 1948, to instill in attorneys an understanding of the enormous power that they wield as prosecutors, and to be very mindful of how they wield that power, that it is not for political retribution, that it is not to attack your enemies, that there should not be an agenda behind it other than the truth and pursuing justice. So our current building blocks. We have been searching for a director of programs. We, as part of our capacity building project, determined that while I have a lot of fun with doing our programs, we need someone who is very focused on this because we are at the level where they need to be elevated. They are already good. I want to take them to mind-boggling. And I want people to be continuously amazed and then come to expect that level of excellence from the Robert H. Jackson Center's program. So we are on the hunt for someone focused first on our adult programs and then eventually broadening from there. We also issued an RFP last year so we could redo our website, and we were blown away by the number of responses that we got to this RFP. We have selected a company called Cardwell Beach, and we have started working with them on the new design, on the modernity behind it. This, for us, enables us to be the best partner we can with other organizations like the Library of Congress. It is a drive for us to be able to present Jackson's information in the most professional and accessible way possible. And so really thinking through timelines and visuals. And for those of you who have been on our center's website, when I interviewed for this job, and there are many people in this room who've heard me tell this story, I, in my first interview, said, "Your website is terrible." And it has now been my website for 5 years. So really excited that we are doing something about it. This is actually an image that Cardinal Beach provided to us in their RFP response. And so, you can already tell the difference and the level of professionalism behind it. And we are excited about how we are going to be able to present Jackson's information about the events that the Jackson Center does, that the community does when they're using the center's space. And we believe it will encourage additional investment in our work. And there's also a significant amount of behind the scenes, the not at all sexy work that needs to be done for an organization to thrive. And so our board is really taking a hard look at themselves and analyzing their skill sets, analyzing their capacity growth areas. They are doing the nitty-gritty work on reviewing their bylaws and all of our policies. And I won't spend too much time on this because this is the boring work, but it is the absolutely necessary work to be done for an organization to be strong. So where are we going from here? So once the bones of the website exist, this will be a continuing iterative process, honestly, with the amount of digital information, the amount of information about Robert H. Jackson that exists that needs to be digitized and that's not currently within the control of the Robert H. Jackson Center. I think, as everybody knows here, Jackson passed away decades before the center existed. And so the vast majority of his materials are at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. There's some pockets elsewhere, but for our purposes, the bulk is at the Library of Congress. They are very excited to work with us to make this, to digitize this, to make it accessible, to have us as a partner. At the moment, the only parts of his files that have been digitized relate to Nuremberg. And so that is 15 months out of a 14-year-long, almost 20-year-long federal career. And so there's a lot of work there to be done. 2025, anytime I hit a 5 or a 0 year, I know it's an anniversary year of Nuremberg. And so that makes it very easy. Honestly, there's a Jackson anniversary every year. So if you're ever stuck, just call me, I'll give you one for that year. We are taking down the perpetrators in our banquet room. So the eyeballs will no longer be staring at you in the room. The eyeballs will likely still be in the center. And we are and we are creating a new exhibit to highlight and showcase the legacy of justice that Jackson created at Nuremberg. This is going to be a significant project for the interns this summer. And I have an outline for them in terms of what we're researching. But when you consider from the crimes and the process that Jackson worked with the other allied nations to develop and determine in 1945, that is the foundation and underpinning of every international criminal trial since then. And so from 1945 to the next ad hoc tribunal, which was Yugoslavia, in 1998. From there, around to the International Criminal Court, and we'll talk about, this won't all be the rosiest of pictures either, because there are some significant challenges with this setup and how this is structured. And while the end is still a little bit fluid, to be honest, the arrest warrants for the Israeli and Hamas leaders caught me a little off guard. I was not expecting them to happen quite that fast. It will end either with the Russian invasion of Ukraine and what the justice mechanisms are for that, or now likely we'll see how the Israeli Hamas side of it develops. And unfortunately, there may be something that happens between now and then as well. We're also really taking a look at the structure itself, and this is both necessary things like making sure our roof is sound, to wanting to upgrade and renovate our theater to make it more usable and accessible to the burgeoning arts community in Jamestown and Chautauqua County, to also making it more energy efficient. And we have applied for a grant with the IMLS, which is a museum and library services organization, to really help us think through how we tell Jackson's story within our building. And so we hopefully will hear about that grant in the next 6 weeks. We applied in November. It's a very long grant cycle, so every week I'm hopeful that I will hear from them, but I know it's likely the end of July. And this is the first step in really using the building to tell the story, which has never happened before. And then once our director of programs is in place, I have more ideas. And so our next hire is likely a director of marketing and communications. I have plotted out hires for the next 5 years in terms of curators and additional support staff. Not adding somebody every year, but we have a lot of individuals. We're at that place in our growth cycle where we need people who have deep expertise in these areas to really help us get to the next level. I want to invite you to a few things as well. So on June 30th, we are having an indoor garden party fundraiser at the Jackson Center called the Sips of Summer. It is Sunday afternoon, so we're hopefully not competing with other programming or other activities and events, and we hope to see you there. If you are interested in purchasing a ticket to that, please let me know after this or contact the center. But that's something we are incredibly excited about, is that we are one of only 12 museums in the state of New York to host a Smithsonian traveling exhibit. And we will be hosting it this September and October. So it arrives in early September, it leaves in mid-October. It is called Voices and Votes, Democracy in America. We are the only museum in this part of the state who will host it. The next closest is Buffalo, which will be in August of 2025. So this exhibit will be traveling for 2 years. Also, as part of this is an invitation for all of you to come share your story. We are required as part of this, and to be honest, we would do this anyway because we know our history and we record everything we've ever done, even before we existed. And it is to tell your story about the first time you voted, what you think of our democracy, how you participate in the process. There are prompts. The interns are also being trained to help with this during the summer to facilitate these conversations. These are designed to be short conversations, 5-ish or so minutes. But I guarantee you, even if you think you don't have anything to say, everyone in this room has a story that relates to this. Do you remember? I remember the first time my mom taking me into the booth. Still at that point, it was with the curtains and the levers you had to pull. And I remember that sort of overwhelming feeling of, this is so important and this is so exciting that we get to do this. And we will help you share those stories. We want to overwhelm the StoryBridge platform with the number of stories from this area. We have a couple of opportunities to record these. We're doing one in the summer and we'll have a couple others over the course while the exhibit is with us as well. But I want to encourage you to strongly consider coming in and sharing your story, telling everybody you know that they also should come in and share their story. I want as diverse a story group as possible coming out of our community. And as part of our Constitution Day celebration, which I deliberately asked for this exhibit to be with us over Constitution Day, this is, as I said, there's always an anniversary. This is the 80th anniversary year of Robert H. Jackson's descent in the Korematsu case. Korematsu case is the Japanese incarceration case. Fred Korematsu's daughter, Karen, will be with us in September. She currently runs the Fred Korematsu Institute. She has been with us before, as has Fred. And she is going to talk to students and lawyers and the public at large in terms of her father's legacy and the work that the Korematsu Institute is doing on democracy in the moment. So September 17th, which is actually Constitution Day, please feel free to join us at the Jackson Center. It would be helpful if you let us know in advance that you were coming, because we do already have a number of school groups signed up. So we want to make sure that we have space for everyone. Does anybody have questions? I don't know if questions are allowed, but.
Please, repeat questions.
How would you like to do it? Yes.
You alluded to the politics, so here's my question. It seems as though, and there are students here from NYU and across the university, is the legacy of Robert Jackson in terms of Nuremberg and all that, is it fading to our younger generations in the university? I mean, I'm 75 years old, and I never would have thought some of the comments that they would have been 5 years ago. I said, no, everybody remembers this, but it just seems as though in our universities, maybe it's fading.
Let me ask a question of our interns. How many of you were taught something about Nuremberg in either high school or university? Okay. So I think the answer is it's probably uneven in terms of what you're studying. You know, when I think back to my formal high school history education, it basically stopped at the Civil War, because then I went on to European history, and that started all the way back at the beginning again, and we did not get all the way up to Nuremberg. So I think that is one of the reasons the Jackson Center exists, is to help fill those gaps. And we are mindful of where we need to be inserting ourselves. I think we need to be doing a better job of inserting ourselves into some of these conversations. And that's also part of the role of the director of programs, to make sure that we are reacting to things in the public consciousness in a timely and organized way. Yes,
Vince's question. The Jackson Center does have programming for younger children through Living Voices. What stories do you tell them?
So Marion's question is about the programming that we do with Living Voices. Living Voices is an arts organization that provides a different way for students to interact with history. And so we offer 5 different performances over the course of usually the spring semester. We usually start towards the end of January and go either into May or sometimes early June. We offer programs on Japanese internment or Japanese incarceration, We offer a program on the Holocaust. We do one on immigration. We do one on women's suffrage, and we do one on civil rights. Thank you, civil rights. And there is one that will, that Living Voices is working on that will debut in 2025, that also is about World War II, and we are looking to add that to our repertoire as well. These performances are designed for as young as 3rd grade, all the way up to high school. And we have started over the last couple of years also opening them up to the public at large. We try to offer at least a couple in the evening, so people who are working might not have time to take off during the day to come for them, can come in the evening. I see some faces of people who have joined us for that, which I deeply appreciate. They are powerful experiences, they are moving, and they are interactive. The actor works with audio and visual cues, but then also spends an awful lot of time both at the front and at the back of the performance, orienting people to what they're about to see and then answering their questions. It really is a wonderful way to learn these parts of history.
Now, you said one of your missions in the Jackson Center is to instill and ensure the continuity of Robert Jackson, home values, and decision making. I wonder if you could, it's a big question, so maybe if you could sum and apply that to today's circumstance in the world.
Okay, so I have been asked to summarize Jackson's philosophy and moral thinking on today's circumstances. I feel like I should write a paper on this, but let me see if I can do it in a pithy way, and if I speak it all inelegantly, let me correct it. So Jackson was a very pragmatic person. And so he also had deep concerns, especially following his Nuremberg service, of the authority of executives. And so very mindful of executive power and how that plays out in the world. I think in world circumstances in general, and I don't think this would be up for debate, the number of leaders and the number of, and I'm thinking of just France over the weekend, the number of seemingly authoritarian regimes that are coming back up to the fore, even if we don't think they're going full up authoritarian, the changes pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, I think also showed quite starkly of how power is utilized in the world has shifted back towards less democracy, more authoritarian. The accountability mechanisms are not strong enough to handle this, in my opinion. And I think we're seeing that with some of the challenges around the ICC's prosecution of President Vladimir Putin, with the conversation and the subsequent almost retribution about the intended arrest warrants for Israeli leaders, in addition to, although the arrest warrants for the Hamas leaders are not getting nearly as much comment. There is I think that the global mindset at the end of World War II about how do we collectively work together to make this a safe place, make this world a safe world, and although Robert H. Jackson failed at this, to make war illegal, I think that mindset of global cooperation is no longer there. And I don't know how we fix that. I spend an awful lot of time thinking about it for my reading list. And I have started to wonder, do we need to start at a much smaller level? Do we need to have those cooperative mindsets in our local communities first, and then use those to build up? And I think that feels manageable. It also feels very slow to me. And so it's that sort of warring of what can we do? What can we do in our own communities? How do we encourage ourselves to talk to people we don't agree with? How do we encourage people to be comfortable voicing thoughts for communication, not just to yell, not just to have their say and walk away? I think that's part of Jackson's enduring legacy and what we're trying to do. I hope that got your part. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Kristan, just one question here, really quickly. The number of scholars, researchers, and maybe even
So I will also say that these feel a little bit cyclical to me. So at the moment, we are fielding a ton of requests tied to Nuremberg, and I probably get at least one a week at this point with people who are developing movies or movie series or writing books. We're actually, there's someone who reached out 2 weeks ago who has exactly a 2-week turnaround, so we're trying to figure out how we get him the information he needs. I will say, actually, honestly, it's not as many as I would wish in terms of the reaching out. And there are even things that our local community gets wrong. There was an article recently in the Post Journal that identified Jackson as one of the judges at Nuremberg. And that wasn't his role. And so for me, there's also clear identification that there's work we really still need to do in our community to really make sure that everybody who lives in this area knows the fundamental facts about Robert H. Jackson. And then I'll come for the Lord, Jason. Thank you very much for your time.
So, Kristan, one of Rotary's major international programs is to eradicate polio in the world. In honor and thanks for your presentation to our club today, we will make a donation in your name that will vaccinate 4 children who will never experience polio in their lives. Very good. So, a couple last minute announcements. The membership committee will meet, let's say over at Jim Smith's table, although just locate a table after this meeting. And I wanted to, I think maybe he left, but I wanted to really thank Brandon from the Doubletree, who we met with him a couple of days ago to talk to him about how we could use our new equipment, and he told us about some features of his equipment we didn't even know about. So a huge thank you to him. He's promised to be active with us to make sure going forward that things are working. So thanks to Brandon. And so this year's theme is to create hope in the world. So let's, as we're leading to work and implement that, let's repeat the 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you all and have a wonderful day, and we are adjourned.